if JM's face was on the ballot paper during the 2008 general election, if the law states clearly that before anybody becomes the president, he must be voted on by the people of Ghana. Now ask Otiko who voted for JM. Aziz sent that from London. JC Boako says, 2 years down memory lane, and President Mahama's administration has been the worst government in the political history of this country. Misapplication of state funds, high level of corruption among his cabinet ministers, ineffective strategic policies and programs for the Ghanaian economy to transform the country, and takes what? And he takes promises and so on and so forth. Victor Azure says, the NDC lady should stop begging us to appreciate things. Anybody can build roads and schools when we pay taxes to them. The point about development is not whether something is being done or not. It is about the place of this nation in the community of nations. How are we meeting the challenges of the 21st century in education, health, and nation building? The problem about assessing Mahama is that as a nation, we don't have proper accessible data on the various sectors, and every figure in Ghana, in the Ghanaian economy, okay, every figure in Ghana's economy is controversial depending on your who you are listening to. Thank you for those messages. Musa in Kumasi says, is Otiko Jaba living a different Ghana? Because what she's saying is totally misplaced. Samson, let's for once see ourselves as Ghanaians and give credit where the credit is due. President Mahama has done marvelously well. Kweku Owusu Menson says, Samson, is it wise to build airport for a country that has no planes but have millions of cars and vehicles but no roads? I don't get it. Stop this 2-year thing. What was he doing? Grabbing money and property all the time. Ibrahim Kopa in Tamale says, there is nothing like 2 years in office by John Mahama. After all, he didn't contest the elections as an independent candidate. He contested the elections on the ticket of the NDC. As such, we only have 6 years in office of the NDC, which obviously have failed in all sectors of the economy, with energy being the worst. Ibrahim again, sorry I can't take you. Sofo Yamusa in Kumbungu says, if elections were to be held today, John Mahama's led NDC would have lost miserably. I say this in view of the fact that there is so much corruption, mismanagement, and incompetence under this government. The president has done something as far as infrastructure development is concerned, but that in itself is a core activity of every government. Ghanaians expected the president to implement the various campaign promises he made before, during, and after the 2012 elections. Ghanaians deserve much from him. Long live Newsfile and long live multimedia. This Oliver Bamba in Salega says the president has done something as far as infrastructure. Okay, I think that message somehow was mixed up with some of the messages that I read earlier. And still on your messages, Daladem Kisay says something. I can see this wasn't what you were expecting. Indeed, Ghanaians deserve a deeper assessment of the 2 years so far, and not the president has done nothing anthem. Okay, Henry in Pama. Henry Pama says, for the upgrading of the Tamale airport to an international airport status, it is not necessary now. We need it in the future. There are a lot more critical things that are needed up north. A good working SADA would have been helpful to a greater number of the people. Kofi Ofosu says, look at this, Elom, speaking for NDC on Newsfire, you cite Sofoline interchange and other projects started by NPP as Mahama's achievement, and you want us to appraise him in 2 years? Was Sofoline started 2 years ago? Stop this. Okay, So I'll just pick your few brief comments in reaction to some of the responses that have come in, and then we'll move on to the next issues to discuss. So I'll start with you. Abigail?
Okay. I believe that on corruption, I had somebody raise an issue on corruption. Our president has been spot on when it comes to corruption, because he's not the president who will say that when he gets at his people when it comes to corruption, it will be used against his government. All the people who have been cited in reports as being involved in any issues with regards to corruption, our president has dealt with the issue. Some of them are in court.
Did you say all of them?
Some of them are in court, and you know them, that some of them are in court.
But is it inaccurate to say all of them?
Well,
yeah.
At least he has taken.
You could say,
at least he has taken
one of them when it comes to the government, people in government.
Okay, so okay, at least we can cite one. Okay, in some other situations, no steps were taken at all. We were told that it will be an indictment of the government, so nothing was done about it. So on corruption, I don't think that anybody can raise issues when it comes to NDC, that is John Mahama's administration. I believe that he's doing his best when it comes to corruption, and he's taking his ministers and his appointees on when they do things that are not right.
But that comment that you made, is it really fact? That someone in a previous administration was indicted, and yet the leader at the time said for fear of, it hurting his party or government, he decided to let that person go? Is it fact?
Well, you see, just like there are issues that come up, and a lot of things come up when those issues come up. So this is one of them that came up during those times.
And we're dealing with facts. So I'd like you to deal with the facts.
So are you saying that it was factual that the Kumasi project, the airport project, the figure use was bloated? Are you saying it was factual?
No, I haven't said so.
But somebody said it here and you allowed it to go, that it was factual. We have, even on that issue, for me, I have an issue where somebody... A comparison.
And said that by the cost, by that comparison,
but
that cost
it's
was
not
too much.
Fact. She said it was fact. You see, you can't just come out and say that it is fact when it is not fact, because you've not
answered the specific you raised about someone who allegedly may have been indicted, but in a previous government, but was not dealt with. I didn't say
allegedly indicted. I said that we had situations where in some previous administrations, and I didn't mention any names, please. In some previous administrations, where people made statements like what he just said, where he said that, somebody said that it will be an indictment on his government. So they were not going to deal with such issues. Now, I wanted to deal with the first one was the corruption. The second one was on the issue of what John Mahama on his own has started as projects. You see, we spoke about issues where we were saying that he started, he's only continuing things that were done by his predecessor. But there are some projects that he, as president, initiated on his own. Like what we are about to discuss now, the 200 schools.
We have actually moved on.
Okay, which I wanted to correct you on that one. You said 73, but it's actually 123. Because the World Bank...
ongoing?
Yeah, the World Bank one...
Then the president was wrong.
I think you should have listened to him.
The president spoke about 50 that were commissioned, and 23
and
that's sponsored by the World Bank.
50 that they are about to give out.
I don't want to add the about
to give out.
So it's
because
still 73.
it's in the 2015 budget. The
about
other
to give
50
out cannot be ongoing. So I think that's correct. Can we move on? Yeah.
Okay. So they are the tamale, which people are saying is not important now, but for me, I believe it's very important because there are a lot of our northern brothers who travel here. They will have to travel to Accra before they then head to wherever their destination is, which I believe that is a very laudable project, and we must appreciate that. We talk about the Fufula, is it Damango Fufula? So I use Fufu, so I use that road to Wa from Tamale, and I think it's one of the projects the president has done, which for me is very good. Okay. The street naming project. Now somebody is coming to my house, and I just have to tell the person it's number 5 Navy Lane, and the person is in my house. No difficulties. But it wasn't like that some time past. So I believe that we've done so well as government.
This is supposed to be just very brief reactions to some of the messages that have come in. So what do you also say? There are some who say, hell no, the president has done nothing, absolutely nothing. There are those who say the things that are being touted around are not the essentials.
Well, this particular administration, I mean, 7 years, 2 years, the reality is that corruption has reached such gargantuan levels in this particular administration. It's unbelievable. Look at SADA, look at JIDA, look at the NSS. I mean, it's smelly, frankly. I mean, why? It looks like there are certain people who are involved in some of these corrupt cases who are still walking around, and all they say is the case is in court. And people steal. I'm not saying that it's good to steal, but there are certain levels operating in this country where there are certain people who are allowed to walk about free under bail or with or without bail, or because their case is in court, and then the lower level criminals are dumped in. Anyway, this particular administration, I think one hallmark is the levels of corruption and unaccounted for funds.
And when there are delays in prosecutions in the courts, you blame that's also on the government, right?
Yes, why not? It is their administration. They have to provide the resources for the civil service and the judiciary to carry out their services. And delays can be manufactured, or it can be due to real reasons. But honestly, like I said, the hallmark of this particular administration, especially in the past 2 years, has been serious corruption. Look at SADA, look at JIDA, look at all the plans that on paper, the plans that were meant for the 3 northern regions. We all know how desperately poor people can be there, and funds that were meant for development projects there have vanished into thin air. Nobody is being held responsible for it. Nobody, absolutely nobody is being called and said, come and give an account of your stewardship of these funds.
Okay, some of those funds are being refunded and the people are in court.
Yeah, when?
You are being told.
Yeah, but when are those funds going to... Oh,
thank you.
One other thing. The Pong Adenta water project. There are certain people in the area who have absolutely no idea that such a thing has been going on. Till today, where are the pipelines that are really going into people's homes? We have the Volta River flowing freely into the sea, and yet they propose to set up a desalination plant. I mean, sometimes it looks like how the guys say, because desalination plants are being set up in the Emirates and Saudi Arabia where they don't have money. Here is a country where there is 7 hectares of water per every Ghanaian. And our Volta is flowing into the river, and we're going to find some money to come and set up a desalination plant. And that is something that this administration can crow about. Anyway, it's another thing on paper. So let's move on.
Very interesting. Otiko, what do you say?
Yes, I want to read something that President John Mahama said in 2008. That for the MPP to tell us they have constructed roads, hospitals, bridges, schools, and other projects is an exercise in mediocrity. Every government does this, said President John Mahama.
Because of that, you will not even acknowledge what he's done?
I did say that he has done some,
okay. But
I said that the expectations and the reality, there is a big gap. And so when somebody calls to say that whether I am living in Ghana, I'm 53 years old, this January, I'll be 53 years. I live in this Ghana.
I must say.
It's by grace. I have 4 children. I have sisters and brothers and nephews across the divide. I lived in the belly of poverty in this country. You know, the backyards of Tumu. I worked in 98 communities of very deprived communities. Very deprived, I tell you. No water, no electricity, no nothing. A woman who is pregnant, needs to have a baby, is put in a donkey. Children walk 17 kilometers. So don't sit in the comfort of your room and pretend that you love Ghana more than me. My passion for Ghana is unquestionable. I believe that I am Mother Ghana. I represent all those voiceless women. It is because of my love for Ghana that I left development to come into politics. I see politics as a means to bring in meaningful and effective governance to address the needs of my people in rural Ghana. So don't use politics to sit here and just talk keke. We are going to be 58 years old, for goodness sake. We must have a certain standard that we want to see in this country. My sister talked of SADA. I went across this country before Christmas. They have these signboards. There is no tree. The trees that are there were planted by Friends of the Earth or some other NGO, like the schools they are claiming. And where is the 200 million that we were told will be given every year? Meanwhile, 247,000 pounds was taken as consultancy fees. What have they done to the person who took it? He's now an ambassador. Those are facts. I don't need to sit here and pontificate or conjure things. I am 53 this month. I want to see the better Ghana agenda before I die. And I want to ensure that we put in place the structures that will ensure that my children and your children and tomorrow's children, their future is secured. I don't speak as a politician, to be honest with you. We need to change the way we do things. There should be a vision for this country. There should be a plan. And as my sister talked of, timelines, so that we monitor. We must be serious about development. We have a percentage of close to 70% being our youth. That's SADA money, then confirm. If they had given it to your brothers in your village, wouldn't it reduce unemployment? Wouldn't it reduce armed robbery? I was in Takoradi recently. Females are now engaged in armed robbery. That is even a security risk to our country. My sister talked of extremists. Are they not part of Ghana? The disabled are part of Ghana. Women are part of Ghana. This NDC is the one that says they are social democrats. Once upon a time, they used to bleach their jeans, and that tire, they use it to make slippers. How do they call it?
Afromosis.
Afromosis. They used to do it and deliberately cut their jeans so that it will look wretched. Then they will be walking with the people and say, we are the masses, we are for the people. Meanwhile, now they know how to take cigar and sit and drink champagne and take $4.5 million and go and eat kinky for $35. Tell me something. Is that what we said we were going to do for the Better Ghana agenda? The corruption. Hey, Jida, 300 million. Isophoton, $40 million. Waterville, 25 million euros. Wyoming, 51 million Ghana cedis. CP, 104 million euros. The SADA, it has made a Nordness, and for a northern president, even SADA, when you say something, then they will say you are myopic. But of course, there are myopic people in this country. It is part of being in the country. As I said, there are different categories of people, but they are all Ghanaians. In these needs, if you convert these into schools, think that one school is 5 million per the NDC. How many schools with this 300 million? Divide it, you get over 60 million schools. We are not getting the value for our money. This is the only government that has benefited from oil money. 500 million yearly. Where is it going? You are not attacking the old things. In their manifesto, the STX, what has happened to it? The Chinese loan, where is it? The cleaning of Accra in 100 days, and the sanitation, and now cholera. 200 people died last year.
I thought we knew what had become of STS and the new
We
projects.
don't know. The new projects that they are now doing, this 5,000 that they are building, they went and cut some sod. Why didn't they finish the 30,000 schools for the 30,000 houses for the police? The affordable housing that President Kufuor started. Why are they now engaged in new contracts so that somebody will start the inquiry? Why are they not doing the old contracts? Why are they not doing them? those are also activities that taxpayers' monies were started with.
Okay.
The corruption is gargantuan, is unprecedented. The debt to GDP ratio now is 60%. Ghana is back to HIPC. What is where is that one term? What do you call it? National health insurance.
That one is
and then the how do you call it? Single-digit inflation. Inflation is now 19%. Please, I'm a development practitioner. I don't just talk keke.
Okay.
The issues are that we are not getting value for our money. The expectations and the promises between the Better Ghana agenda. Now you say advancing it. You never started, you are still driving in first gear. How can you tell us that you are getting
I think
anywhere?
to be a very final comment.
And then you sit here and say the
after,
best, we should clap for the president.
Especially
Please.
after listening to the politicians, and you know, Tiko refers to the SADA situation, and it's very saddening. And I get personal reports from my people who talk about how they came, cut down the commercial trees and planted trees that never survived.
In Hamatan.
What's your optimistic view going forward?
Frankly, the issues of corruption in this few years, of course, have been, there's been revelations of various levels of corruption. And depending on exactly also on where you sit, it's either because government is now opening up and letting people see, or it is because it is at a very alarming state. And this is also because, unfortunately for our country, depending on where you sit, you see things, you know, differently. So whichever way, this is the realities. There are levels of corruption. And it's sad because most of these corruptions are perpetrated in development-related projects, like SADA. And I kind of appreciate the SADA issue because I have had to work in the northern regions, actually northern region, Upper East, Upper West. And I have loved, for instance, Wa. Anytime I'm in Wa, and the shops are even beautiful by themselves. And they all have economic values. We read of development projects where shrubs have been used for diverse, beautiful things that are being imported even, you know, by Ghanaians. And so it's sad that when such a community with lush resources, even though we see it as savannah, is just wasted, especially when money is poured there. And you would also expect that moving on, if government has the will and believes strongly, of course, that it is also as appalled as we are as Ghanaians, all of us, at the levels of, you know, corruptions in these development projects, you would also want government to go to the full length to make the people who cost us this pain pay for it. And so on corruption, yes, we've seen it, but depending on where you sit, it's either a matter of new cases or government opening up to
But in
to
2015, you say
Yeah.
what you want to see a lot more about is a lot more transparency.
Precisely.
So that we can follow each development project that we are told about.
Exactly.
Clear timelines. So that we can
Precisely.
also hold government accountable.
Accountable. And I say that, especially for the text messages that came, it reveals that this is who we are, we're Ghanaians. And once you have the social contract with us as Ghanaians, once governments come into office, that's why I am not very excited about the NDC-led government and those kind of languages. Once you're here, it is Ghanaians with a contract, you know, with the government. And so, as much as possible, respond to us as an entity of Ghanaians, people who have expectations. And our expectations are diverse. You know our numbers. Our expectations are diverse. And most importantly, these are expectations that you give us. For some of them, we don't even have them.
Okay.
For the people, for instance, who live in Adenta, they had strategized on how to get water. But of course, they deserve to get water, but they had strategized on how to get water. And then, because we have to come into office, we gave them promises. And so they hold us by that promise. And it is expected that we deliver, no matter who we are, how extremists we are, how middle-minded we may be, I mean, moderate we may be. All of us have expectations, you know, and we expect that they are met.
In respect of Adenta, I think it is only fair to state that from the checks, independent checks that are made, an overwhelming majority of them are receiving the water. Adenta and Hacho Ashalibuche. And also the desalination project that you spoke about, it's completed. It's not on paper. It's being completed. It's done. This is Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis show. is brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. Now, if you're looking for a banking product that will be tailored to meet both your personal and corporate needs, then the bank to get in touch with is Bank of Africa. You can visit Bank of Africa. They have branches all over the country, and you can call them on 0244-338226, 0244-338226, and discover a product that suits your lifestyle and business. Think of someone special, someone you love talking to, someone who makes you smile. Imagine being able to choose this special person's MTN number as your magic number and talk to this person all for free for 6 months. You heard that correct. 6 months. You'll be talking to this special person for free. That's right. Free unlimited calls to one special number. It's only possible with MTN Akwaba. Let's welcome you to the biggest family with MTN Akwaba. So go on, buy a new SIM card and choose one other MTN number as your magic number and enjoy free calls to that special number. And guess what? You also get a whopping 100% bonus on all recharges for 6 months plus 50% bonus on your weekly spends. Join MTN today and say welcome to the new world. MTN, everywhere you go. Now, let's go to London, shall we? And look at what went on there.
Can I just say something before you go to London? The Fufusu Road from Bole to Tinga was done by the New Patriotic Party.
Okay.
The lights, there was only light in Bole. When I was the candidate for Bole Bamboy, I arranged with the Energy Ministry to take light to 7 places. When President Mahama was going to cut the sword in Tinga, he didn't even invite me.
Oh, I see. Mr. President, I'm sure
because
that
it was not to his credit. That's what I'm trying to say. And the Fufusu Road, I'm telling you that it is not his baby.
Okay.
253 kilometers of it was done by the New Patriotic Party.
I'm sure we are aware of that. The budget over the period has spoken about that road.
You shouldn't claim what you have not sown.
Yes, but they say when you complete it, of course.
So
when
give credit.
When you find the resources to finish it, you should take the credit for it. I think on this note, I would like to start with you, Afi. How do you take news of how Nayeli quickly accepted her guilt and got sentenced to 8 years, 8 months? Effectively, she's supposed to serve about 5 years and 6 months, and she'll be qualified for parole. She says that after that, she doesn't want to come to Ghana. The reason is that she's dealt with elites, political elites, and very powerful people in Ghana. She's also afraid for her children and would like them to be relocated. When you hear all that news and the fact that the BNI have, is it the BNI? Yes, they have moved to her, NACO have moved to her house, her mother's place. They've decided to, seize her assets and everything else. What do you say?
Well, from where I sit, I see a young woman who understands what she's been into and has prepared, quote and unquote, for the end. Because one will expect that if she was very naive and all that, she will be jittery and may make mistakes even when she's called. I see somebody who is very precise on what who has a predetermined action. And so she went straight to plead guilty, and that ends the matter, more of. So for us who sit behind, we miss the drama and the opportunity to see the full trial, to get to know the details of what she's doing, the people she's involved with, and yes, it is our loss, but...
So you don't believe her lawyer, when the lawyer spoke about try to mitigate for her so that her sentence, she will not get the maximum.
Okay.
You don't believe her lawyer when her lawyer says, look, this is a girl or a lady who was born to this woman who had, to an Austrian father who didn't take his responsibilities as a father, and then she got married to this wealthy business auto dealer somehow, and then that marriage to, after children, she was abandoned, and now she needed to sustain that lavish lifestyle. So she's only a victim of circumstance. You don't believe that story?
Well, I don't have the right or not, because I don't have the facts to believe or not to believe that.
Well, the judge believed it.
Right, and that's actually, for instance, that's gotten her what she has now. Some of us would want to think that she deserved more, but it's not in a how do I put it? It's not what we wish happens to her. It's what the facts of the matter and the judge's rule. And like I said, that could be her story. But moving on into the deals of drug trafficking, I want to believe that she's, even if that's her first time, she started to think through and determined her plan of action. And this is because of the quickness of everything that's happened, the composure of even, you know, as it is reported, the young woman. And so that's what I believe from what I hear, that yes, so she's gone on. We've missed the opportunity to go into the details of this matter. And of course, you're the lawyer, you can let us know. We can have a double trial, right?
No.
Yes, so we missed the opportunity, we cannot have a double trial. Yes, maybe, what can we do? And of course, there are calls for her to name these elites that you're saying. First and foremost, she did not specifically, and I stand to be corrected, say that these elites are political elites. And I say this as an important point because, you see, when we do the politicization of everything, we look for the hyena in a place where the hyena is not. And so if even these powerful people she's mentioning are in civil society, if these powerful people are in the public service, we will lose looking for them there. We'll go chasing them in the political system and we will not find them.
Her words were ruling elites.
Ruling elites, right. I mean, it's such a big word. People could be ruling and they're not politicians. By our laws, we are even picking, how do I put it, we're not expecting, for instance, the IGP to be a politician, but the IGP is ruling. We're not expecting chief directors to be politicians. Of course, there are the backgrounds of the realities of whether they are or not. But by the law and the books, these are not supposed to be politicians.
So the word lends itself more
to them. So what I mean is that, yes, look for them in the political elites, but also look for them in the big umbrella of ruling elites, so that if they're hiding somewhere, we don't miss them. Moving on, she's gone through the process. We are unable to get these ruling elites mentioned because, again, you can also tell us more. Her lawyer is not compelled to tell us these names. She most likely has client confidentiality or whatever it is called. So her lawyer is not compelled to tell us. I don't know if we have jurisdiction to go to the UK police. She herself is not even compelled. So even the UK government cannot compel her to say it, right? And so if we're calling for her to name them, I am not sure how the law allows that. The best I think we may want to do is to, well, maybe chase her roots, see whom she's been relating with, and follow these people. Do we have money to do that? For the 2004 up to this year that she's mentioned. And that is why it's sad when we want to politicize cocaine deals.
So the NPP statement that seeks to directly indict the government because of some of these pronouncements in the mitigation process, you think is unfortunate?
It is, because it is also because not necessarily it is the NPP, but because if it was the other way, the NDC would have done the same thing. And that's how unfortunate it is. So eventually they fight each other, and we who are interested may not get the facts, you know, of the matter. So yes, I don't know if we have the money to look out for the issues that surround the people that she's either about to mention or will never mention. Do we have the money to go look for them? Are we ready to follow the full story? Maybe the story is just there.
You support NACOP's action towards seizing every asset conceivable that belongs to her and making sure that they're confiscated?
Yes, that's what the law says. And so NACOP is expected to do that. What I would have loved NACOP to do if they did not do is to go to explain the issues to the mother in a more humane way. Because yes, she's a woman who's lost a lot. She's left with 2 children, and from the wealth of their mom, their standard of living is going to drop. And I don't know how the old woman is going to keep up with these children. So yes, the old woman in her...
She knew the source of the funding, or the source of money of the daughter, and also didn't report to
of course,
authorities.
That is her loss as well. That's her crime, and that's her loss as well. But from where I sit, I don't know if she knows. And from what is happening to the family, I certainly think that even if she knew, I mean, even the criminal
you don't think
herself...
she ought to have known?
Yes,
you have a daughter
who has... Yes,
you have a daughter
yes.
who gets to own a house in East Legon.
At her age, yes, she ought to have known. My mom would certainly have asked me, young woman, where are you getting this from? Yes. But she's not my mom, and I'm not her. I can compel her on that, yes. But I'm just trying to say that even the victim, who we would love to stone here, has rights to some liberties.
That's right.
So I think that the woman just, and I think that's how the lawyers, I'm not asking for that much. I'm just thinking that, yes, it is expected, some resistance is expected of such a woman. And so they deal with her in how the law expects us to deal with, with her.
Otiko, were you disappointed that we didn't hear the version of the story as we were told by the Ghanaian, mission that visited her? She had a version of the story, which the Foreign Affairs Minister relayed to us, that when they visited her soon upon her arrest and incarceration, she told a story that she didn't know that this was gold, this was cocaine, and she thought they were what, the diamonds or gold bars that she was carrying, and so on and so forth. Were you surprised that we didn't get to hear about this in court?
No. I wasn't surprised at all about any of the events that ensued in this drama, as my sister said. But I would like to say that a crime is a crime. It has nothing to do with political coloring. And it's important that Ghana as a nation look at this issue of drug trafficking and work at addressing it, because it destroys lives. It has embarrassed this country. It has opened us to a security risk. What I kept thinking was that if there had been a bomb in that bag, because she said she didn't know what was it was. So if it had been a bomb, all those people would have died. That is the security risk that the government of Ghana should look at. I agree that we should not politicize it. But who started the politicization and wanting to equalize this issue of drugs?
Where will it end?
Where will it end, and how does it benefit the people of Ghana?
I'll ask that question to you if you decide to repeat the politicization.
So, you don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. The issue of cocaine is a global problem. But in Ghana, we don't make cocaine. We don't produce it. People are using Ghana as a way to traffic it and move it to other places. And this girl, what are you talking about? That she has a soft story, she lived a fantastic life, and so now, do you know my story? Do you know her story? The stories of all Ghanaians? People have lived very wealthy lives, and overnight, the wealth went. They didn't go and do cocaine. You know my father, he was a very wealthy man. The coup took him out. I had to go and sweep people's toilets and wash dishes and work at a restaurant and things to pay my way through school. What are you talking about? And so I have 4 children. I'm also a single parent. So I should go and do cocaine. That is no excuse for what she has. And she's a very daring woman. And it's not her first time. She did it in the Netherlands, went and did some facelift, and now she has come to Ghana. We must ask the pertinent questions as a people. As for the British, it's their jurisdiction. People would be surprised, but in these things, I know there are deals and all that. So as for me, I'm not surprised about what happened. But it shows Ghana in a very bad light. It is a crime. And the government of the day came out, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, to come and then try to speak to this issue. You are the minister for the president. What is your own with this girl? the Minister for Information, the Deputy Minister for Information, the Ambassador, Victor Smith, went to visit her. I hear even after her, a few days later, some other Ghanaian also had a similar problem. Did he go to visit her? You see, it is not about
they will
MPP,
justify their intervention.
NDC.
They will justify their intervention on the attempt to bring in the government, the questions of diplomatic passports.
Question of diplomatic passports and all those things. Na Ayele with her 4 names.
Ruby, Gemfi,
Yes,
Angel.
yes.
There's another one which is actually suspected to be the one that may be in the diplomatic passport.
Whatever.
A certain Tawiya or something.
I don't know. There are many things. Is somebody who has been doing this to keep her lifestyle. It is unacceptable. You cannot defend the indefensible. Somebody, official somebody, helped her through that, whether it's VIP or VVIP. You remove one V, it's still VIP. The fact is that she went through there, and not ordinary Ghanaians are not allowed through there. That in itself is a security breach and should be handled as such.
Those people are supposed to be in court.
They should sort it out. When this thing was discovered, all the staff of British Airways, they've been sacked. In Ghana here, we have, if it is a narcotics-related issue, you are the lawyer. It is a non-bailable offense.
That's right.
Yes, but all these people are walking scot-free.
It's
also
about
know
the charges that they were put against them.
We also know
betting.
that she has this Austrian passport. Who is the consular for Austria? Is it not Wyoming? Is it not Wyoming? Is he not the consular? That is the fact. You need to look at the dots. Me, I'm not a lawyer. But these important people that she's mentioning, anybody who is involved in it must be looked for.
Doesn't matter that she has an Austrian father.
She can have a Greek father. She has committed a crime against humanity. She has embarrassed women. There are poor women in this country struggling and farming to feed 10 children. What is she talking about? She has only 3 children, and she thinks that she will go and embarrass Ghana like this, and they get a soft sentence, and so we should be sad with her. I'm not sad with her. I am not sad with her. But the system that enabled this must be looked at. We had Operation West Bridge. What has happened to it under this administration? If we're advancing the Better Ghana agenda, then the Operation West Bridge should rather be taken a step further. But we hear that even the, the head of security, that was brought in when the NDC came in, he himself knew somebody. He was accosted in the US, and he's waiting sentencing. Well, what is the meaning of that? Then this passport matter, somebody must have given her those passports. Somebody must have helped her, somebody in a very high place, to move. And all those diplomatic cars to the tarmac and at the other end in the UK. What is the meaning of all those things? It means some serious government officials are working with her.
So you support the call by security expert Kwesi Enin and also Freddie Blade that we must find a way of getting her to name these individuals. And don't forget, she tries to even trace her connection back to 2004.
When she goes to 2004, why? Is it only NPP people who lived in 2004? They could have been NDC people in 2004. It could be anybody. I don't want us to look at it with political coloring. I said a crime is a crime. We tagged the MPP with cocaine, that Nana has bathed it. Somebody even said that when he wakes up in the morning, there's a cloud, as if he has burnt firewood. Me, I come from Bole. We use firewood. Even when I make firewood, there is no cloud of smoke around my head. Let's put it out there. Dress and bath Nanado in cocaine on false allegations, propaganda. And the reality on the ground is that, look, when Papa J was leaving, 300 cases of cocaine were there and tried. MPP came in. I'm not looking at it as a party, as a government that brought in a policy that ensured that the law about bailable offenses in relation to narcotics, that you get 10 years and that you don't get bail. These things made it possible for people to deter people from doing those things.
In fact, you could get life for it, not only 10 years.
Thank you. You see, now all those things have been put somewhere. The law is no longer operating. One of my half-brothers died of this usage of cocaine. So when I talk, I have a personal story. It was a very painful death for that, my brother. The end result of it. But it's big business in these Latin American places and so on and so forth. And now it looks like even this man, Bene, in Switzerland, it looked like there was a cover-up by the government then. They brought him back home in spite of what the people in Switzerland were asking for, and he was walking free and talking plenty about the government's interference. And then you come and hear they say some MPP women in Jolo did something, and so it's equalization. What is equalization? We are developing Madagascar. There is nothing about equalization and blaming, and you did this and I did that. No. It is about how effective governance and providing the visionary leadership that we so need as this wonderful country of ours. And I am very disappointed. In President Mahama, didn't he, how do you call it, the NACO board, did he not dissolve it? What was that about? And then the people, the journalists, who came to talk about it. You remember somebody from City and then Graphic? Yes, they were put in the BNI and that they had reported falsehood. And even the president, when he went for that Graphic event, went there and said that they deserve to be put in. What is that? President, what are you saying?
What you are just
go and look for the thing. You are the journalist. Go and look for it. Look, we are going to reach pension age now.
Okay.
We should not, please let me land. We should not take these things lightly. We should not politicize them.
All right, thank you.
Let
I think
us handle it as a crime and deal with it as such. But the NDC, they have not handled this thing well. It's an embarrassment.
I get the impression that you wanted to make an intervention.
Yes, I wanted to make this point that it's not in the interest of both political parties or even all political parties to do this, because from where I sit, drug barons would like to associate themselves. And they don't really, who is in power is what they will associate themselves with. So they could come to be your friends, they have interest as well.
Right.
So it's not in the interest of any of the political parties to do the politicization, because they are also, yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. They will just be used.
Thank you very much. And now, you're still here on Newsfile, this is your most authoritative news analysis show. And Abdul Malik Okubaku Jr., good morning to you wherever you are. He'll be on break for just a short time. He'll be back on the show. He sends me this message. He says, I didn't get the sense that the Defense Council suggested that Nayele's alleged ruling elite connections generated and facilitated her involvement in cocaine business. That submission was more to illustrate the genesis and trajectory of the lady's lifestyle, and also to underscore her vulnerability. Thank you very much. And in law, these mitigations are taken seriously depending on the circumstances, and it will appear that the court took it seriously, that she appeared to have been a victim of some sort. And so the courts appear to have been some lenient to her, as some people say, because she could have gotten as much as 12 years in jail. And tell you what is strange about this. She has 8 years, 8 months, right? In Ghana, those who are charged of abetting her, who are charged to have facilitated her easy passage, if they are convicted, they have a minimum of 10 years to serve. That's interesting, isn't it?
It is, but before I even respond to that, it's interesting how the NPP and NDC are politicizing this. At the end of the day, as our people say, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. It is brand Ghana that is getting diminished every day. Nayele is a product of her era. She's what, 32 years? Now, that's, you know, the entire period of the PNDC, NDC era. She is a product of her era. She is a manifestation, a product of what this particular regime or the era has produced. Greed, corruption, impunity, individualism, where they don't care what happens to Ghana and Ghanaians, what is in it for me? She is well, I mean,
I think majority of our elders,
and what's even worse is the effect on women. Drug mules generally are women. The early 80s and 90s, that was the alternative form of employment. Our previous regimes have not created any jobs or even the potential, building on the potential and the creativity of our young people to either get into jobs or to be self-employed. This particular girl, I would say, she really, really is an example of what that era has generated. This is a country that has moved from being a transit country for
You're being told by your colleagues that you cannot say she's a product of the era.
Well, she is one of the products.
There are many women like her who will not say because I've been exposed to a lavish or good life.
Which is true. Let me reel back a bit.
Okay.
She's one of the products of that era. Ghana, it has now moved from being a transit country to being a user country. And this is a country, look at our mental health services. Abysmal. Non-existent even.
Very abysmal.
You know, so this nihilist case is a time for reflection by Ghanaians that this has to stop. She's carrying 12.5 kilos of cocaine abroad to go and damage other people's children. Is that a means of
It was meant for the Caribbean.
Oh, well, the Caribbean, that's our people. Those are Africans who were sent away. You know, this must stop. We have NACOB that was crawling all over this case. All of a sudden, it got dissolved. Now, NACOB has materialized again to go and seize the girls' assets. You know, there's so many funny things going on.
But the temptation, she got paid 25,000 US dollars.
Is that all?
60,000 pounds.
Is that all?
6,000 pounds. And that may have just been a little token. If everything had gone through successfully, she'd have got to get a lot more.
There are young women in this country who are legitimately creating income for themselves and can generate even more than that. The CPP has always been calling for, a proper planned economy, an economy where there are so many linkages. Our agriculture feeds our industries, enough money is generated for social programs so that the disabled, mothers with young children, you know, that sort of support system, it needs to be set up again. We had that before, but these two parties came in and nothing has been done. All we get are promises after promises after promises. Look, women in this, especially young women in this country, they have been led to believe that they have to become appendages of men before they can make it. And this is an example of this particular young girl.
She says she provided a companionship for these high-class people.
Exactly. You know,
traveled first class and
but at the end of the day,
jets.
She is a drug mule, albeit a high-class one. This is not the image that Ghana needs to project. Last year was a real annus horribilis for us. You know, Brazil Gate, there was this, there was that. It can't go on. This Ghana is all we have. Our young women, our young children of either gender, that is our biggest resource. The human resource of this country is what will generate the ideas, what will create the jobs, what will, that is our biggest that is where our investment should go.
Do you support those who suggest that she may have disclosed some of these names to the UK authorities, and as a country, we should do everything it takes to get to know who these people are and to pursue them? Other than that, we are not solving the problem.
Look, that's chasing after rainbows. The reality is that in the UK, the system works. Look at how quickly this girl's case was dealt with. 13 people have been arrested in this country. let us watch and see how long it will take for them to get to court and for their cases to be also resolved.
It could take upwards of 3 years.
Exactly. And this girl, what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, it's been sorted. The system works in the sense that, in another sense also, that if you plead guilty, and that way you're not wasting state and prosecutors' time, that can be used to factor in a lower sentence for you. But at the end of the day, it is Mother Ghana that suffers, our image. And we need to be able to present better alternatives, realizable alternatives. We need to really work smart with what we have and create opportunities, avenues for young people to know that they don't have to be somebody's arm candy in order to make it in this world.
What would you say briefly about her mother? The mother has also been charged, or provisionally, the police say, I don't understand what that means, provisionally, for assaulting the police officers when they went there, the NACOB officers when they were there to post the notices of forfeiture. Well,
they could have handled their job in a much more, what's the word, diplomatic and humane way. You know, it's funny how she never queried, or if she did, we don't know, how she queried, whether she queried her daughter's source of income. For her to be at 32 to be able to afford the sort of lifestyle that she had, and which obviously her mother came to enjoy. The police could have explained things to her, both in writing and, you know, I don't know whether it was a male policeman who went there. You know, there are so many ways in which this woman could have been sat down and things explained to her.
And those things you don't do with notice to the people, because your intention is to stop the possibility of concealment, of trying to dissipate some of the things or transfer into other people.
Nevertheless, when they got there, the way they may have presented,
it has to be a surprise.
No, the surprise element, that's fine. But there are ways of also breaking news in such a way that it will not end in assault.
Very interesting. You're still here on Newsfile on Joy 99.7 FM on radio, on your multi-TV Joy News channel, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and over a dozen affiliate stations across the country. This program is also viewed by millions across the globe. Always very, very refreshing when I go to YouTube and I find that upwards of 11,000 and so on have clicked and watched an episode. Now, tell me, Abigail, when it's becoming a political football, how exactly do the politicians, why in the first place do you get into that? That a matter as serious as drugs, which you all admit has such huge, you know, damaging effects on the country, its future, and yet you play political football with it.
Okay, before I get into that, I just want to make a correction about what Madam Otiko says about the Fofoso Solar Road, about Tenga. I'm told Tenga is not part of that project. It's a 147-kilometer project. So where you got involved is not part of this particular project.
Development got involved.
No, you said that you.
Yes.
So it's just an information.
This is a message from Deputy
Information Minister,
Communications Minister Felix Kwachi. He says, Otiko's claims about Fofoso Solar are false. It is 147-kilometer road, started and fully funded by the NDC.
Okay.
So can we move on?
So now I want to move on to...
You can cut part of it away. Is it not part of the
issue. I also agree that we should depoliticize it. We shouldn't talk politics when it comes to drug issues and all that. But you see, for me, I believe that government's involvement in it has to do with the fact that there were accusations here and there, and it is the duty of the ministry to debunk those allegations. about this diplomatic passport, about a diplomatic car picking her up, and all those things. Government needed to clear its head from those issues, and that was what the ministry did. Secondly, I believe that every embassy in each of the countries where we have ambassadors or consulars have a duty. If a citizen is arrested or anything of that issue, I think that they have a duty. And I'm reliably informed that even Amwatin also got such services from the U.S. Embassy when he was arrested. So no, it is the duty of the embassy to try to support their citizenry wherever they are. And I think I've heard on this show before once that in this country where the Chinese are a lot and all that, when the Chinese have issues, their embassy gets involved to try to see if they can help. If they can't help and it's criminal, like the Nayele issue, they let it go and they let the laws take their stand on these issues. And I believe that is what we did.
When you get involved and you put out information, such as the one I referred to earlier, about she saying that she didn't know that this was cocaine, but that it was ABC, and that never comes up in the court. I know, for example, that if that had come up, it would have led the court to change her plea from guilty to not guilty, because it would have meant that her plea of guilty is equivocal. Okay, and your plea must be unequivocal. So does it not, put government in bad lights?
Have you
that you come and say this is what she said, and in
have you asked yourself why she even changed her lawyer? You've not asked yourself. I'm a law student, and I also understand the processes a bit. You understand? So then she might have, I was not there, you were not there, so we don't know exactly what she told. Exactly. So we don't know what she told the ambassador or the minister when they went visiting her.
We know because we have been told.
So that is what she told them, and they also gave that information out. She decided to change her lawyer. We don't know why. The lawyer goes to court, and the lawyer brings out a different set of facts, and she's judged based on the facts that she's given. Because you see, the court is also not privy to the information we have in Ghana, which the minister put out to us. I believe we are on some. So you get it. That for me is the issue. Now, I am a young lady, and I think that Nayele is just about a year older than me. I have not gotten myself involved in any cocaine deal. And I think that I side with Afi that that regime that is being painted, that regime has produced certain kinds of people, is unfair to some of us, because we have all worked hard and we have distinguished ourselves in society, and we've done everything we can to make ourselves what we are today. We've not gone into anything bad to become what we are today. She is an elderly, or let's say she's a young girl who knew what she was doing. You got married at 16. Well, you decided to get married at 16. You have 3 children. Nobody forced you to do that. You went to marry somebody, and then these issues come up. It's your business. Deal with it. If you don't deal with it, and then you go and do cocaine, and then these issues come up, it's your business. So deal with it. Now, talking about 2004 to now, yes, like we are all saying, it could be MPP, it could be NDC. She has not mentioned any names to our hearing. So I believe that we should let it be at that level. But when we try to make it MPP, NDC, then I'll also come in with facts that I also have about MPP with drugs. They'll also come up with the facts they also have with NDC with regards to drugs. And then we forget about the issue that really has to be discussed, and then we talk about MPP, NDC, and then we end up leaving the issue. The point is that this lady has done something which has disgraced the country. It has disgraced young ladies in this country, and we must, as a matter of fact, tell everybody that no, this is not something as young ladies we should get involved in. No matter our situation, it is not right for us to get involved in some of these things. I don't have a child, but she has 3 children, And if she went to the extent of giving birth to children, then she should be ready to take care of them. Her mother, I was not there, and I can't say that she was treated unfairly or whatever. We should not. Some people go to the house to arrest people and they try to resist. It's possible that resistance came in, and that was what the police also, when resistance comes, a little force, per the laws, a little force must be applied. And so we can't just sit here and then say that maybe this happened, this happened. Let's allow the law to work, and then I think it's in the right direction that they are seizing her assets. You see, from 2004, you have been doing drugs. You accumulate so much. You buy a house, you do this, you have been living. I've seen certain pictures where she's living lavishly, sitting in some breakfast in bed and all that. Now you are going to lose everything.
Where she's shown displaying the gold chain.
Exactly, you saw it. Exactly. So you know you've done all these things. Then all of a sudden, everything is going to waste. That is the aspect that I want, that as Ghanaians, young, not just women, but young people in Ghana should look at, and then know that once you get involved in some of this, some people are lucky they are not caught, but once you are caught, so let's look at that aspect where when you are caught, then it means that everything that you claim you have toiled for, you're going to lose everything.
Well, the law really is that as long as the security people or the authorities can trace all those assets to being proceeds of crime, then they can take them away.
So you see, from 2004 till now, she may have acquired some things genuinely, but because it falls within that period, it will be said that she got it from those processes. Her mom might have been working also and then may have acquired some things. But because of this issue, they may lose everything.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for them to go to court and to state clearly which properties or assets were not procured through proceeds of crime.
But you know the difficulty that comes with it. You have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these things were not acquired with the proceeds from that. And that is where also our parents come in. As parents, we should be able to tell our children in the face that, look, this thing you are doing is not right. I am very sure that the mother knew. Because you see, from 2008 till now.
So the police should not only be charging her with the assault, but they should charge her with
they should ask the mother a lot. Yes, they should ask the mother. Yes, because you see, it's not easy for you. And she's living in the house. Your daughter travels out and comes back. And she's having so much money, she's bringing a lot of things. When you know that whichever businessman she was married to or whatever is no longer working, and she's no longer with the person. So you know very well that, look, my daughter does not have any source of income, like any source of where she generates.
She knows that my daughter gets her money as providing some companionship services to very wealthy people, so she can get that money.
So the mother knows.
She doesn't have a profession.
Companionship.
I think that we may be a bit unfair if we hit the mother from that angle.
Okay.
Every mother wouldn't want the daughter to do that, in my view. And if there are, and especially there are exceptions. And when mothers even advise you as a young lady, I mean, we are young.
You decide to take
and you decide to take a new course. Okay. What will a mother do? But probably be part of your the consequences.
Okay. So for me, I think that the mother should be. They should just go beyond taking the things from her. She should be interrogated. And
lawfully.
Lawfully.
Precisely.
Of course, lawfully. And then if they find out that she didn't know, well, so be it. But if they get the slightest hint that she knew of what the daughter was doing, I think that it should serve an example to a lot of mothers in this country.
Do you support her plea for the relocation of her children? And herself when
she's supposed to be an Austrian
as well, yeah,
and then a Ghanaian. It's in her rights to decide where she wants to live after she served her term. Okay. So if she wants to live
for those of you watching television, you can see her plush, mansion in Sligon.
Wow.
Very nice.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think that with all this information and all that, it should also serve as an example. If really the mother is seen to be somebody who knew about it, it will serve as an example to a lot of mothers. So that you see, when our kids are doing things that are not right, we should insist that they do the right thing.
Thank you.
Politics should stop.
Thank you very much.
We should stop
you.
politicizing.
You have something to say, and she indicated first she wanted to say something. So briefly, in just about some 30 seconds or 1 minute, can you say what you wanted to add?
I'm a bit uncomfortable with the fact that there's this thing about the mother, you know, is she being charged on assault? Or
because when they went there, assault. Yeah. Because when they went there, she tried to stand in the way of the police officers. But did they go there
to arrest her as being part of the syndicate? I mean,
no, they did not. They
aiding and abetting her daughter.
They went to post notices of forfeiture of the property.
So,
and she got agitated.
Why is Abigail now asking that her mother should also be arraigned before court?
So it's because she's saying that if she knew about it and didn't also alert security authorities that this is my daughter, she's involved in some crime, come for her. That is also a crime on its own.
Yeah, I suppose, but it's okay. Let's go.
Okay, yes,
it's very unfair.
I'm very happy that we all agree on this one issue, that let's take out politics, and that it is a crime. Let's deal with it as a crime. Finally, we've reached that point of realization of the way forward, that it is not about MPP and it is not about NDC. I've been saying this for a long time, but today, if I've achieved nothing, the fact that all of us here,
that's
different thinking, can I land? Yeah. Yes, we are in unison on this issue, and that what this young girl has done is unacceptable, and that it is a disgrace to our country, and we must look for the solution to it, so that we should stop the propaganda. The propaganda that will bath one person as cocaine, 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 and then under your watch, it is happening like this, wah, and it's like a paradise for cocaine people, you see. So I'm saying that it is a good thing that all of us, with our different upbringing and beliefs and what have you, have agreed that this problem must be dealt with as a crime. So that we can move this country beyond the partisanship and see a crime as a crime and deal with it as such.
Thank you very much.
And I'm so grateful that you've given us this opportunity to bring this out to the people of Ghana.
Thank you. Prince Tahiru Wayamson. I hope I got your name correct. Tahiru Wayamson says, he's sending this from Tripoli, says, I salute you and your team of panelists. Your producer indeed have made my day for the gender representation. But could this be sustained? Please tell the NDC lady. Okay, I'll not read that part of your message. I will not be a conveyor belt for that one.
We are moving forward.
Dominic Adolf Mensah says, Madame Otiko has made my day, very passionate and intelligent in her submissions. Asari Bartholomew says, on SADA, those leaders from the north should bow their heads in shame when they knew the poor conditions of the northerners. Isaac Boite Ejei says, it is good that the panelists are being checked when they make claims that can't support and are corrected with facts. I believe that should be the way forward. Tell the children the truth, as Bob Marley will say. And Abdul Malik Okubaku Jr. says this one again, says that the Defense Counsel's job, and he's absolutely correct on this, the Defense Counsel's job was mainly to mitigate his client's plight. His narration was based on what Nayeli had told him and was tailored to make her appear vulnerable, and succeeded, really, to make her appear vulnerable. Names and details of her actual connections / transactions could have surfaced if there had been a full trial, because prosecution during cross-examination would have proceeded on the basis of prior investigations. Calls for disclosure of names of the ruling elite are an exercise in futility. Kukubako knows the law. If you ask me, I'll tell you. Kosono Ampem in Spain says something. The NDC can say that we should not play politics with this cocaine case because once the girl passed through VVIP, there is no amount of words they can use to convince Ghanaians. People, the presidency may even have had a hand in this cocaine case. Okay, that's the path we're saying we shouldn't go. Lawrence Niku says in Power City, Accra, says, Samson, thank you very much for the wonderful gift today of these extra brilliant women. They are talking sense, pow. For me, I don't want, you're being told, they gave birth to you. I don't want to see the men again, apart from Pekubako. Hey, that's serious. That's also not being gender, that's also being gender sensitive. Okay, thank you very much. And this is where we take a quick break. We'll return, and when we return, we'll talk about fuel. Whose debt is the debt that is being passed on to the consumer? We'll be right back.
To the Minister of Health, I want to ask her this question. How will she feel if she's a casual worker and she's being laid off?
Drivers sometimes don't heed to us when we stop them to cross the road.
The government should not do that. In the Labour Act 2003, Section 1075 demands that casual workers should work for a maximum of 6 months before they should be regularized.
News Generation, live on Wednesdays, 4:30 p.m. on 4Kids. Repeated same time Thursdays on Joy News. And on Sundays, now at 2:30 p.m. on 4Kids, repeated 4 p.m. on Joy News, only on Multi TV. News Generation, defining, informing, educating.
Absolutely brilliant. Speed, power, and relentless punching, and you can see the look.
The World Series of Boxing. This and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on Joy Sports. Joy Sport, the thrill of the game.
You're welcome back. This news file. Thank you very much. And I'm smiling because I'm reading some of the text messages and I'm not going to share them. Please admire the intelligence that they are expressing to you this morning. Now, this one says, really, I thought I was going to read a text message, but this is the bank that is paying for this show, Bank of Africa. They are strong as a group and close as a partner. They have banking products that are tailored to meet your personal and corporate banking needs. So like I always say, just pick your phone and call 0244 338 226, 0244 338 226, and discover a product that suits your lifestyle and business. Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. On Sundays, the footballers meet at the park, the Omutu guys at the joints, and the church folk share the grace, and friends and family come to visit. But now with MTN Sunday Special, your Sunday just got more special. For only 50 pesos, you can text and talk all day, every Sunday. So who is it that you are talking to that you really love? Is it your mom, dad, sister, brother, or that special somebody? Just keep talking all day, every Sunday with MTN Sunday Special. Send the word yes, Y-E-S, yes, to MTN short code 5050, 5050, to sign up and say welcome to the new world. MTN everywhere you go. A few more of your messages here, and Batingi Prudence says something. I think Article 36 of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations gives right to embassies to intervene. Not intervene, just to give them the courtesies that they deserve if your citizen is in trouble. Frank Kojo Asari Anderson Jr. says, I am enjoying the calmness being displayed by your female panelists. Very refreshing, far away from the usual, okay, coca, or yentijai discourse, and people talking over each other. Let's get more women in frontline politics. We live in a country where people refuse to take responsibility for their own actions and suffer the consequences. That is the reason we may be surprised Nayeli accepted her charge. How about admitting her lawyers did a great job by advising her not to contest the case in order to reduce her sentence? Well, that's what some people say about lawyers in this country, but it's not always correct too. This one I'm inside, so let me say something. Sometimes we get them to plead guilty and then we mitigate for them when in fact they are really guilty and they admit to being guilty. A lawyer's job is to take the instruction of the client. If the client says, I'm not guilty, you can't force her or him to say he or she is guilty. And this is from Danny Kwejo Ampofo. It says, stop harassing the NDC woman defending the indefensible. Okay, I don't think I'm harassing her. Hassan Malik says, Samson as usual using his program with the help of MPP and CPP to run NDC down. Okay, so the two of you, which one should I take? Okay, go sort yourselves out. Okay, all right, so very interesting, and I must also admit to you that I'm really enjoying the show, and with Kukubaku behind the background, supporting rare artillery, giving rare artillery support, like my very good friend Paco Akwe will say. Kukubaku is taking his holiday, and I won't disclose which venue he is at the moment. Yes. Ilyasu Haruna in Tamale says, on the scale of 1 to 10 score, I scored the president 1. None of the so-called projects enumerated by agents of the government was started by the president. Meanwhile, all the projects put together is around $3 billion. What happened to the rest of the over 23 billion? The government should tell us how they have made living conditions stable. What has been done to curb corruption that is pervasive under the government? Enough of the NDC lies. D Stones to 4 says, Samson, I like your shirt. And that is where I say, look for Latita. They will make you look very good. Now, let's move on to fuel. We have had the world crude prices tumbling over the period, getting to all-time lows. And the expectation had been that Ghanaians will enjoy the windfall. Unfortunately, we're being told that we cannot have that. I want us to listen to the president briefly. He justifies the 10% reduction and says that is a significant, drastic drop. Occupy Ghana, you know them. They say, no, that should not be taken at all, and that, in fact, they may be heading to court to compel the government to make sure that the automatic adjustment formula, pricing formula, is followed to the letter. It's an automatic policy. Let it work on its own. Who is it that is turning the automatic policy to a manual policy? Of course, you have heard other people say the president's suggestion of a levy, a new levy, mitigation levy, is also an additional burden that ought to be rejected from the word go. Let's hear the president briefly on the fuel issue, and then we'll come to discuss it.
MPA Kotsana they have reduced by 10%. Now, say, are they 100%? Anyway, 10%. I know any drastic.
Yeah,
because are they 100%? Where you want 10%? What's the any drastic? 10% is very significant. It is a case, Yanti petrol, so near fire to infantry. A toa, ye free amount for no honor, and one ye debate a car daho. Says Kano, and KB, I bet me the school. And so Samuka say, Yanteso, we can do that, but then it means that and put to a cosono to slow down. Enti a cano a daho mayina. And it's also yate a bono or amanone, enti or see a teso, send the ate or amanone, Nija cano at daho ne homia. A toa and kaya de bequaco ye so full line interchange. Ye debate your BDCs. And you can't eat your cake and have it. And the MP besa ashe, you know, and then adjust it again. Yet to meet you if you want me, my dream say, I will see a mitigation levy. This can be chain because our oil price here for me, it won't go down forever. And that be true. A besa cost. Now we will need something to mitigate or hedge the price. We won't take the full hits of the price increase. And in my dream, I will say Parliament bar, almost dream home near share baby. It says it can better. What I say, any excess recovery, no. If I can say, let's put it in a mitigation fund. Send a bear or be surprised, no. I start to cost right. Give to me a mitigation fund. Maybe I can hedge. Say this is the price Ghanaians will pay.
Right, that was the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in that interview with Kwame Adinkra of Angel FM. Now, what do you say? We are also beginning to see that, what do you call it, transport fares are supposed to go down by 5%. We are being promised that it may go down further, but it's about whether the drivers are implementing
it. We need to do a flashback in time to what the NDC told us, the government, about fuel going up at $147 per barrel. It didn't just happen. It happened gradually. And yet the administration of the MPP at the time managed to bring it down to 50 cedis, to 5 cedis, and some pesos. And they still said a Kufo gallon. And now Kufo is wicked, MPP is wicked, JJJJJ. Then it came to 3 cedis, and 40 pesos, or 3 cedis and 20 pesos, something. You remember the Ahoys, they took blackboard and went from market to market to teach people about this store levy and the formula for the adjustment of fuel and all that. Oh, Ghana. And today, with all the CJ, something, joint action.
Yes, Committee for Joint Action. Yes,
even President went, Atta Mills went on demonstration and all that.
Yes, I joined that once. I covered them once.
Thank you.
The President was in front.
Thank you.
And all the always
then today, we are back at the same spot where even the prices have been less than half. The Brent crude, I understand, is the one that is about 51, but the lower ones are even under 40, it's about 47, 49. And the President is telling us that 10% is drastic.
Significant.
When you told us that you were going to reduce fuel drastically, I'll use Kwesi Praswe, Alabaraka President. What is 10%? 10% is 1 cedi, 50 pesos if the thing was 15 Ghana. So how can that be drastic in anybody's imagination? You see, to be able to address the needs of a developing country, we must tackle our debts, we must grow the economy, provide a strong cedi, ensure that inflation is not rising too high and so forth. And so, if world prices have come so low, and all over the world, they are reducing fuel prices so that the windfall will be felt by the citizenry. Then you tell us that you have done well, we should clap for you because 10% is drastic. In whose imagination will 10% be drastic when it has been halved? Minimum that Ghanaians should be paying for fuel should either be between 8 cedis and 10, not more than that. From everything. We should not make the same mistakes. Under the MPP administration that you said that even at 5 cities to 3 cities, it was wicked. Under President Mahama, we should call it what? It is insensitive. It goes beyond wicked because you can't reduce it. You've been able to find money to send 4.5 million cash to Brazil. You've taxed everything in this country. Even condoms, when you are preaching HIV. When we talked, then you brought it down. How can you tell us that 10% is drastic? It's unbelievable. It is thievery. It is no longer even robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's robbing Peter to pay Peter. You cannot take money. Please, I beg you, let me land. You cannot take
because
money.
Of time, we'll deal with these matters very briefly. So we can
you cannot take money from the people and then tell us that you will not even give us half of it. That is what it is. Because we are paying taxpayers' money that is going through all these things. And so, I feel strongly that this fuel matter that has come and it has been reduced all over the world, the government of the day must give us this better Ghana agenda, advancing it and reduce it drastically means bring it down to half.
I see.
And then, I beg you, and then, not to politicize it, but to tell the people of Ghana that this toll levy, the money that they are taking, what are they doing with it? The BDCs are telling us that government has accumulated 1.5, is it billion?
Yeah, 1.5 billion.
Government too is saying it's not like that.
It's 412, is it?
We want the truth on these issues. They should not lie to the people again.
Well,
it
so
is
far,
not about
using the windfall, they have been able to pay
propaganda.
about 200 million of that amount.
The last one, when the prices fell, that was when government introduced the 17.5%. What kind of wickedness is that? 17.5% when prices are falling. That's when you are introducing it to fuel products. Please,
thank you.
The president must stop this thing.
Are you able to look at it from the president's perspective? He says there are certain circumstances that we should not ignore. We have a debt to pay. Why don't we take advantage of the windfall and pay some of the debt? Otherwise, we'll get to a situation where we may not even have fuel on the market because the suppliers will not be able to give us. We've had one of such situations where we couldn't find fuel to buy.
I can appreciate the president's stand if I have an in-depth understanding of the process. We have a debt to pay. Of course, we come to whose debt are we paying as Ghanaians. We want to know one way or the other. Yes, it is our debt once it's a Ghanaian debt, right? But what's the process? Again, it's vague. When are we finishing this debt? And I say that constantly. Ghanaians, we're so reasonable, frankly. We are very reasonable. Regardless of which political party is in power, we're ready to go with you. We're ready to sacrifice with you, provided you're also sacrificing. So whose debt are we paying one? What's the process? When are we finishing the paying of this debt? You're taking this amount of this percentage. How long? You understand? Can we understand this process? Then we would say that, yes, we are with you, Mr. President. We have to pay this debt. We're paying, and we're paying to the end. So that we don't, President and the team does not come to play with the politics of it. So when we scream, then they change it and give us the reduction. If we are quiet, then they will leave it as it is. But if there's a process, if everybody understands the process, we are all part of it, we may not even complain. Because frankly, we don't love it, of course, when we have money and we can get fuel. When that time happened in Ghana, frankly, I'm not sure any of us, not only those who have cars, those of us who have to go by trotro, and you go to the station, there are no cars because there's no fuel.
Unstable electricity, energy, you need to buy fuel to power
so we
your
appreciate really. And we would love to have it. So we would want to know the process. We'll know how much we have to sacrifice, at what time we have to sacrifice, to what end, and when are we done with it. Then
Once
we can
again,
appreciate
a lot more clarity, transparency.
Exactly.
And don't wait for media come asking before you start telling us stories. I think that doesn't also help, like Afi is saying. Now, Nanama, we are also being asked, now the price, is gone, down. then we are insisting that we need to benefit. When it goes up to a point where if government decides to pass it on to us by an automatic adjustment formula, shall we accept it?
This automatic adjustment mechanism somehow seems to be always weighted in favor of the government. I mean, it's like somebody who is selling something on the roadside with a weighing scale, and the scale is always in his favor. I mean, it's almost like 419 sometimes. I mean, there are, you know, sometimes I feel it's a lot of spin to hide the fact that the government's coffers are empty, that we are running on very low fuel. I mean, that's figuratively. There's galloping inflation, we are having serious economic difficulties. And this is one of the manifestations. And instead of, coming to some agreement with us, they're saying 10% is that's your lot, and in fact, be grateful for it. It's not just the petrol. Our utilities, again, it's the automatic adjustment mechanism that operates there. And every time the price goes higher, but we don't get the services. Customer services, non-existent. Electricity, you go and top up your credit, but you are not getting electricity. Meanwhile, the price was raised something like four or five times last year, or within 2 years, we only, things only go up. And then we get frightened with this threat that now that you are asking for a reduction, you just wait till prices go up and then you come back to us. And when things are low, fine. When things are high too, why is it that the government does not want to take responsibility for that? Again, I will keep on harping on the fact that it is evidence that then there is a need for a properly costed and planned economy, because things come out of the woodwork and then there's some kind of response to it, and then something, we're always firefighting. But if it is a properly planned economy, this won't happen. Okay. And all you get is, Ghanaians, be grateful for what we are doing for you. No, it is our taxes that pay for that. It is our overall wealth. The oil or whatever belongs to all of us. Okay. Look at the United States. Let me finish here. The United States currently are enjoying 2009 prices at the pump. What is happening here is that it's the drivers, the trotro and taxi drivers, who are getting blamed for not passing on the reduction, the 10% reduction to members of the public. At the end of the day, food has to be brought from the interior. Cocoa prices are skyrocketing, $2,900 a ton. But we don't have the roads, we don't have the vehicles to even bring them to port, let alone food that we eat. This is evidence that the economy is not working. I see.
Abigail, what do you say to what the president says? I know some of those who are in the industry feel it's okay to talk about a mitigation levy so that we can put money aside when the prices go so much up. It will not be government having to dip its hands into its chest, but because we would have saved some money, we'll use that money, to take care of that situation. What do you say about that?
Okay, first of all, I want to say that I think in 2008, fuel prices went down to $147. It was consistent for like 3 weeks in June.
Was it up to 3 weeks?
Let's say roughly 3 weeks. Nothing was done about it by the then government. It went on to December. It reduced again to, I think, about, is it 32?
So can we move on from that point?
Now, what I want to draw your attention to is that in just a few months, when the prices were going up, government took some of the burden. he didn't pass everything on to the consumer. By then, there was still automatic adjustment, but we still took the burden. Now, the price is down. It's come to 47. Yeah. And government is saying that we are owing BDCs. So we've paid, it was about around 400,000. No.
Million.
400, yeah. And we've paid close to about
1.5.
Well, the BDC say it is 1.5. We don't have any contract with them anyway.
It was 420. We've paid 250. We are left with 170, which we are looking at by ending February. We should have finished paying. That is the information we have available. So by February ending, if the prices are still at the same price, then we assume that then we'll go back to the automatic adjustment as it were. As it stands now, government has only spoken to the people that, look, we still owe these people, so let us finish paying them. And like you were saying, timelines, we've given February.
Okay,
sorry, the timelines are with you.
We have very limited time
now.
Not
with us, the public.
Thank you. So we're taking our very final break here. We'll return and try, and then we'll have some 10 minutes, I think. We'll try and see if we can look at the issue that's presently before court in respect of the throwing out of the injunction application over the GMPC $700 million loan, which will no longer, presently as we speak, go to Parliament before they secure that for whatever they need to use it for. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is News Friday, it's your most authoritative news analysis show. And I'm getting a text message from the USA. This one is coming from Yawansu. I'm sure you know Yawansu. He was with us at Joy FM here before he left for the US. He says, something here in the US, we buy a gallon of petrol at $1.60. How come Ghana with less than $2 daily minimum wage pay around $6? Why is this government so wicked? Okay, see the way you put it. Why is this government so wicked? And then also a certain reaction to Otiko on an issue. This one from Divine. He says, is Otiko saying that because a certain Woyome is a consular, so he has the authority to issue Australian passport to a Ghanaian? Okay, that's a question that someone else is asking. Divine. Now, we go to the GMPC matter, and let's start briefly with lawyer and MP Atta Acha. Good morning and welcome to Newsfile, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Great to have you. Now, what's going to be your next line of action? The injunction that you sought to place on GMPC from going ahead with the loan has been thrown away. The judge, in her judgment, which I have read, her ruling, which I have read, was very emphatic in saying that GMPC is not government. I'm quoting, GMPC is not government, and that you were not able to establish the need to stop them in this particular process. So, what's going to happen now?
Well, when the law speaks, sometimes we are careful not to speak outside the court because it becomes sometimes offensive and people will say you want to undermine administration of justice. And also because I'm a patient, I don't have to inject myself. You know by now that I'm a litigant.
Yes, you are. You are one of the three MPs, yourself, yes, Dr. Kotose, and Matthew Poku Prempe.
Yeah, but I would have loved that my lawyer would do it. But I will attempt to tell you a few things.
Yes, and briefly, yeah.
It is sad indeed that the judge is saying that DMPC is not government. But if you look at section 17.2 of the very law that gave birth to GMPC, matters of borrowing are subjected to section Article 181 of the Constitution, which means very clearly that GMPC is now at the heart of section Article 181 of the Constitution. What that means is that without parliamentary approval, you can't take the money. You see, because if you didn't give it that interpretation, which is so clear on the face of the law, what that will mean is that you've given GMPC unfettered powers to go and borrow. Meanwhile, GMPC is 100% government-owned, and if GMPC should go bankrupt, it's the same government that will have to go into the national kitty to bail out, GMPC.
Senior, respectfully, you referred to these provisions of the law, and the ruling, the judge was very clear in her mind. She says that, and I quote, GMPC is not government, according to the Supreme Court. For this reason, it seems to me that there is no breach of law as alleged by the applicants. She says there's no breach of law.
Oh, there's an obvious breach of the law, because, you see, the judge confused the situation of the Supreme Court case, in which was said that Gapoha could go into economic transactions.
The Klomega case.
The Klomega case. So the Klomega case makes it very apparent that, when it comes to entering into international contracts, you don't need parliamentary approval. That could be understood. But not when you are borrowing. So when you confuse the borrowing powers of statutory body with its capacity to enter into international agreements, that can occasion a travesty of justice.
Okay, so now this is my question. You were saying that the judge was not clear in her mind or must have been confused in this direction. So what's going to happen? It appears to me clearly that even the substantive suit may have been done with by this interlocutory process.
Well, to a reasonable extent, because if you look at what we are seeking to do, and now the president has been said that statutory body has unfettered powers to go and borrow, whilst the government of the day should come via parliament to have the budget approved. You see how illogical and inconsistent the decision can be if we stretch it that far. What we're going to do are one or two things. We could discontinue the action, or we could appeal the decision, the ruling, and then repeat, the application in the Court of Appeal. Or we can also go to the Supreme Court to give us a constitutional interpretation as to whether or not GMPC, being a creature of the law, could go and borrow money in levels at his own pleasure.
Okay, in 1 minute, tell me, you're saying that you may discontinue this whole case and then go to the Supreme Court and start a fresh one. Are you sure you're able to go to the Supreme Court? But because the Supreme Court finally said that having gone through the Balkan Energy case and through the other cases to the Klomega case, that should be the end of it. If you have any other issues in respect of interpretation in this regard, go to the High Court.
Wow. That will mean that the Supreme Court doesn't want to interpret the Constitution any longer. What if there are nuances?
It is tired of interpreting that provision.
Well, but this is very special.
Okay.
Very, very special, because here's a statutory body attempting to covet powers it doesn't have. If you said GMPC could borrow money without due regard to parliamentary approval, then you are saying that GMPC can even overborrow more than the government itself. And that is weird. You see, let me tell you, this is a very dangerous precedent to set. If the government will have to come to parliament, President Mahama's budget, President Mahama could not spend unless, he brought his budget to parliament. The almighty government has to come to parliament. A little soul in the realm of Ghana called GMPC has unfettered powers to go and borrow. The absurdity is so obvious that the Supreme Court will not waste time in setting aside this decision.
Okay, thank you very much. Since you appear to be very sure that the Supreme Court will set this aside, we'll await what your next step will be. Thank you very much. Our time is consumed already. I'm grateful.
I'm also very grateful for
Thank
a
you.
short time.
Atachia is MP and also a lawyer, but in this particular situation, he is a litigant. He together with 2 other MPs are in court seeking to stop the GMPC from taking a loan without recourse to parliamentary approval. And the courts said very emphatically that they cannot stop them now on the interlocutory process. They went for an injunction. That injunction has been thrown away. Now, Nanama, what's your preliminary comments about this? Briefly, in just 1 minute.
You know, when a family, the parents are the ones who bring in the income, and a mother and a father can sit down and look at their budget and approve that, yes, if we're going to get a loan from somewhere, we're going to use it for this and this and that. We have TOR. It was set up to develop our petrochemical industry. Today we have BDC that is importing refined oil. Meanwhile, we are drilling oil along our coasts. Yeah? Okay, that aside. So GMPC now says it wants unilaterally to go out there and borrow money without even bringing it to Parliament. If the government, if the administration takes its budget to Parliament for scrutiny and approval, how come that little entity by the side wants to go out there and get money without being subject to Parliament and lumber ourselves and our descendants for repayment for centuries later? It's not right. It's not right. It's not right because
I mean, they are doing this and they have the support or the backing of the law. So what is our problem? That they can go ahead and take $7 million without going to Parliament. And in any case,
where does
they are doing it with the support of their law. And
where
the court
does it end? Cocoa Board could do the same.
And now we're being told that, in fact, eventually they are doing it with the approval of the Minister of Finance. Eventually, the Minister of Finance will submit to Parliament all that they are doing about it, and they will deal with it. So what's our problem?
Right. With me, it's a matter of what the law says. Is GMPC a body corporate? Yes. Is GMPC allowed to go in such commercial transactions? Yes. Is it a matter of morality? Is it a matter of transparency? GMPC has a governing body. Is it active? Will it be able to give the interest of the Ghanaians? Yes or no? I leave it to the public to decide. Then comes the issue of, I mean, when you look at the law that established GMPC, I believe, quickly on borrowing powers, it says that GMPC can do this subject to Article 181. And it goes on to say that the corporation would be able to borrow money.
And Article 181 is that government cannot borrow without.
But it says may, and so you are the lawyer. You can help us with that. It says may first and foremost, and then it says government. And I don't know whether it goes into the details of body corporates like GMPC. I mean, it's a matter of the law for me.
Okay.
So if it is also a matter of transparency, if it's a matter of ethics and guarding the interest of the Ghanaians, some may ask, really, will Parliament guard our interest, especially in this issue where we go with the majority? So what is that issue? Some also argue that, and I had a conversation with Khalid, thank you very much, Khalid, which came out. He says that GMPC is a giant sleeping, and we're expecting it to be even as bigger as, you know, big corporations, which could actually be bigger than the nation, depending on how wide. And so what our issues, interestingly, are not how much they're taking, what the money is going to be used for, whether it is going to make GMPC better, but the process, which we actually even doubt whether it's going to be in the interest of Ghana.
Sorry, but sorry to you, Otiko, and also to Abigail. We are unable to continue the time. Just catch up with us. My outfit is provided by Latida. You call Latida on 020-433-6444, 020-433-6444, and also Bank of Africa. Their number is 0244-33-8226. My guests have been Otiko Afisa-Jabba, National Women's Organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Amano, she's the Amamo. She's the head of new media member of the communications team of the CPP. Afi Agbenyo is a social activist. I'm sure you loved her this morning also. And Abigail Elom Akwambia Mensah is with the NDC. I'm Samson Ladia Yaneni. I've been your host. And this show was produced by Sedem Ofori with support from Sami Odami, Emmanuel Ante, Matilda Omega, and of course, Kwabena Asante. Have a good afternoon. The news is up next.